There have only been 7 master distillers in the history of Jack Daniels, and Jeff Arnett is the 7th. Thanks for being with us, sir.
Hey, thank you for having me today.
What does it mean to be the master distiller of Jack Daniels, and more importantly, how do I get that job?
I get that a lot, believe it or not. Of course, Jack Daniel was the first master distiller, and I'm only the 7th person in the history who served in this capacity. But
since what year?
Since 1866.
Do you know the names of the other 6?
I do.
Do they have great old names?
Yeah, there's a lot of Jesses and Lims and things like that are kind of very popular names.
They're
like that's like John and Mark here in this community.
Give us the names just for fun. Put you on the spot.
Okay. Well, of course, Jack was the first, and then it was Jess Motlow, who was Lim Motlow's brother. Of course, most people know Lim Motlow as the person that Jack willed the distillery to.
Mm.
Then it went to Lim Tolley, then to Jess Gamble, then to Frank Bobo, then to Jimmy Bedford, and then to me.
How awesome is the name Frank Bobo?
Frank Bobo is still living today. He is about 83 or 84 years old. He's a good friend of mine.
So how were you chosen to be the master distiller?
Well, I didn't really know what the process would be. I had been talked to about 2 years before the appointment was made, but I came into Jack Daniels as the quality control manager. I was just a big fan of Jack Daniels and a native Tennessean. But I spent 7 years working as an apprentice under the previous master distiller.
So what were you doing before that?
I spent 10 years in the food and beverage industry prior to coming to Jack Daniels, and that experience helped me get the quality control manager's job here.
Okay.
So as 7 years in quality control here, quality touches everything. I tell people my job actually started with checking the quality of the cave spring water, the incoming grains, but checking fermentation, distillation, the charcoal mellowing process. Even though we manufacture our own barrel, I would check the quality of those, report back the quality, leaker rates, and things like that to our own cooperage. And ultimately, I answer consumer comments on Jack Daniels for 5 years. So
what
I
was
saw
the
it
number
literally
one comment?
from the cradle to the grave. About half of our comments are going to come on taste, and you would expect that, a product that's really sold on taste, that people would say they tried it and it didn't seem to taste right. But we have a very small amount of what I call consumer dissatisfaction. For every 1 million bottles that leave Lynchburg, we'll get less than 3 comments back.
Really?
Yep. So pretty proud of that. I can't take credit for that because the distillery was that good when I came here, but I've been able to hang on to that.
How much variance is there in the taste of a bottle of Jack Daniels that I buy in Tokyo, Oslo, Lynchburg, or Houston?
I think if you were talking about another brand, it would be a lot. But because every drop of Jack Daniels is made here in Lynchburg, we use the same cave spring, source the same grains. Every drop comes out of Lynchburg, whether you're buying it in Tokyo or, down the street from you. So doing that, operating only one distillery to serve the globe really helps us be a very consistent product no matter where you find us. We're in 135 countries today.
How much?
135 countries you'll find.
Don't
Jack
lie.
Daniels.
How much Jack Daniels do you drink?
Of course, at work, I don't drink at all. We do taste panels here, and if you taste the first sample, it really kind of ruins you to be very discerning on the others. But I definitely enjoy. This is a job that I don't mind taking some of my work home with me. I definitely enjoy a glass or so when I get home in the evenings to relax. It's a great product.
Tell me something about. Do they give you free Jack Daniels? Guinness gives you two pints every day when you get through. Do you get free Jack Daniels?
We do. The first Friday of every month is called Good Friday here, and that's the day nobody misses work. We give out 375 bottle to every employee.
Wow.
On that day. So.
Can they sell it if they don't want it?
A lot of people they can't sell it because they don't have a liquor license, but I know a lot of people who work here, it's not like a prerequisite that you have to be a whiskey drinker to work at Jack Daniels. We just, they're looking for people who are smart and dedicated and passionate about what we're doing. So a lot of people will actually barter with their bottles. They'll let a few of them get accumulated up, and if somebody does them a favor at home, outside of work, they'll give them those bottles as a way of saying thank you. And they're very highly sought after, as you can imagine. That's a pretty good gift for a lot of people.
Do you bank just huge amounts of money being the master distiller?
I'm not Jack. I'm not the owner of the company. We're owned by a shareholders group, and we're part of Brown-Forman. But I do okay.
Do you have a private jet, an island, or a private chef?
No. My family's not going hungry. Jack Daniels, I think, is a very generous employer, and that goes to whether you're the master distiller or if you're just a janitor. sweeping the floor here.
What's the proper age to introduce your child to Jack Daniels?
You know, I think it's before. I think it's certainly before they reach legal drinking age, at least from a conceptual standpoint. You know, my son is 9, and he knows that I work at Jack Daniels, and he knows that it's an adult beverage. And I've told him that there would come a time and a day that you know we would talk about it more seriously. But I don't. I think if you don't talk to it, if you don't talk to your children about it, somebody's going to, and they're going to offer it to them. So I've kind of told him what my wishes are for him. I want him to be an adult when he tries it because it's a beverage that brings about adult responsibilities with it. So I hope that he has a very healthy attitude towards it.
Serious, yeah.
I know it. Well, and it is. I mean, I'm very much a family guy.
Jeff Arnett is the master distiller at Jack Daniels. Let me ask you, tell us what happened with the city of Lynchburg. Is it a city or a township?
Well, yeah, we're considered a metropolitan government. So if you live in the county, Moore County, we're by population, we are the smallest county out of the 95 counties of the state of Tennessee. And I think just about 5,700 people, just under 6,000 people live here. But if you live in this county, then you're automatically a Lynchburg resident because there's not separate county and city governments. So we have a mayor who services both the city and county, and we also have a council.
Was it the mayor who came up with the whiskey tax on Jack Daniels?
No, it was just a self-described concerned citizen who grew up here as a child but had moved away and worked up in Michigan most of his life, worked for Chrysler, and
this
moved
isn't
back
one of
here.
those old biddies in the temperance union, is it?
No, I don't think so. He says that he is a fan of Jack Daniels. That over his lifetime he's enjoyed plenty of it, and it's not that he thinks we're a bad company. It's just in his opinion he felt like we should be doing more for the community. That, in his words, that the community was entitled to more than what they were getting. But from our standpoint, we really felt like we've been very generous with the community. We're very proud not only of the jobs that we provide, but we are the biggest portion of the tax base for the metro government's budget. And then beyond that, over the last 5 years, we've done another $2 million in just projects in the community. So
how did this idiot get this? How did he get this before the city council?
For a lot of the people in the city council, it was pitched to them that their vote to okay it wasn't necessarily saying that they supported it. It was simply that the people deserved the right to vote it. And and a lot of them, as it was pitched to them, they had not had a chance to talk to the people they represented from their zones of the county. And between the first vote where they passed it and the second vote where they decided to rescind it, a lot of them had an opportunity to get out and talk to the 400 or 500 people or families that they were representing.
And all you needed to tell them, Jeff, is this is the same state, the same people who sent Al Gore to the Senate over and over and over. Can you hold with me for just a moment?
Yes, I sure can.
All right, let's get to some important stuff here now that I got the Tennessee Squire thing squared away. And I want a private tour with you, Jeff Arnett, around the distillery.
I would be honored to do that.
And I want to be able to stick my finger into stuff at any given time.
Well, we won't let you get yourself hurt or anything, but you can definitely taste our distiller's beer. When we make the grains, the yeast, the cave spring water, the first step in whiskey making is you make a beer in a fermenter. We'll let you stick your finger in that and try it, and so you can kind of see how that character gets translated over into our new whiskey. We do have actual, even though we're a Tennessee whiskey, we're not a bourbon. Right when we come off the still, we would officially be called a bourbon if we put that into our barrel.
Well, that's my next question, Jeff, because a number of people emailed me. I said if you have questions that you've always wanted to ask, the number one most asked question from emails was, are they a bourbon or a whiskey, and why are they not a bourbon? Because it looks like technically they are.
Well, actually it was the U.S. government right after Prohibition. We have a letter dated from 1941 where the U.S. government tasted Jack Daniels and said that it did not taste like any of the bourbon whiskeys that they had on file, and therefore they supported Jack's claim that it wasn't bourbon, and Jack Daniel himself had called it Tennessee whiskey, and he did that because of the charcoal mellowing process. This is a unique and an additional step that we do in making Jack Daniels that bourbons don't do. And the benefit of doing it is it takes a lot of the bitterness associated with the grains away before it ever goes into the barrel. And that, of course, that's why bourbons were always placed in barrels. If you read historical documents on why that particular type of distilled spirit was placed in a barrel while others weren't, it always had to do with the fact that they carried a bitter edge, so associated with the fact that they're heavily made from corn. Well, charcoal mellowing can accomplish what it takes 2 years in the barrel in a matter of days.
Where do you get the charcoal?
We buy it regionally from sawmills that are within about an hour radius of Lynchburg. We have some partners that supply us that. So they come in pre-cut ricks, 343 maple sticks in a single rick. We burn 4 of those. We'll have to do 4 burns or 16 ricks to fill 1 vat. We have 72 charcoal mellowing vats. And, of course, anybody comes to take the tour, that's one of the areas that they'll get to see in our process because it is very unique to Jack Daniel's. You don't see it in other distilled spirits or bourbons.
Do you just ever just look around and go, look, I am the master distiller of Jack Daniel's? I'm not kidding. I mean, the world over, a buddy of mine that owns a bunch of restaurants and it's done a lot of fascinating things said, dude, I would love this guy's job.
Yeah, I do. I've told people that being the master distiller is in a lot of ways kind of being like the Pope. If you walk into a room and the room is full of Catholic people, then you might get mauled. Everybody will know who you are, and everybody would want to touch you and talk to you. And then there's other, you might walk into a room full of Baptists one time too, and they may not know who you are or care. And so, as master distiller, most of the events, I travel about 50 days a year. Most of the time when I'm out, a lot of these events have been advertised, so I'm meeting people who are just, rabid loyalists and fans of Jack Daniel's, and it's great. When you go to a country and you don't know what to expect, I've probably visited 15 or 16 different countries outside the U.S. over the last 3 years, and just the warm reception that we get from people. As a native Tennessean, I understand the affinity for Jack Daniel's whiskey. I'm a proud Tennessean. I'm proud of being able to make a product that's so well known from my home state for a living and to live in this community where I do. Lynchburg is a wonderful, wonderful place, regardless of what those barrel tax articles might have made us sound like. I think by and large we're a very close-knit community, and we see eye to eye on more things than not.
Well, Tennesseans are great. Jeff Arnett is our guest. He's the master distiller at Jack Daniel's. Tennesseans are the reason that Texas is a state today. I mean, it was the greatest soldiers, the greatest men at the Alamo, which is the most visited tourist site in the state of Texas for a reason. It's that seminal moment in Texas history. We're all from not all, but the best part of them were from Tennessee. And you look at Sam Houston, who was later. I mean, I live in the city.
He was the governor of Tennessee and the first governor of Texas.
Right, and all the wonderful things. And, of course, Davy Crockett, my hero, and all the great Tennesseans who came here. If Jack Daniel's had distilled his whiskey about 30 years earlier, just think they could have said to the Mexicans, hey, look, we got all this booze. Now take it and go home. Think of the loss of life. I'm serious. It could have been a peace offering to the Mexicans.
Well, I think...
Do Mexicans like Jack Daniel's?
It's a growing market for us.
They tend to be more tequila people.
They do, and partly, that part of the globe, there's not a lot of discretionary income with a lot of people, and so the cost of a full bottle of Jack Daniel's might be outside their reach today. Right. So, we have started doing things like ready to drink, like a pre-mixed Jack and Coke, or typically doing something that's more regional to that part of the country. Like if somebody does have a bottle of Jack Daniel's, what are some drinks that they make out of it?
Well, a lot of times if you just put lime in it, Mexicans will like it.
Yeah, actually grapefruit. Grapefruit is a real popular mixer there.
Yeah.
So like what I would call like a Fresca. You don't see those.
I love Fresca.
You don't see those very, very much anymore, at least like you used to. That was sort of one of the original diet drinks.
Do you know that Lyndon Johnson had a water fountain converted in the White House to Fresca so that he could walk? I'm not kidding.
Well, I remember when it seemed like Fresca and Tab were the only 2 diet drinks that were in the market. And to me, Fresca was the more tolerable of the 2.
I love Fresca. I still drink Fresca. Well, I don't drink it very often.
They do something very similar to like a Fresca and Jack type drink there.
Hey, Jeff, hold on. I'm going to talk to you off air because I know you're very excited about me becoming a Tennessee squire.
Yep. All I need is some information on you. We'll get the rest handled.
Hold on just a moment. Y'all don't try to be horning into my squiredom. I'm a squire and you're not. You can come visit my plot at the distillery. Don't try to squat on it. More Michael Berry Show coming up.
Yeah. Fascinating is the word of the day.
You're listening to The Michael Berry Show.